Hello, everyone. I am Shelby Moneer. I am Zero's Vice President of Patient Programs and Education. I'd like to welcome you for joining us. I am joined today by Dr. Todd Cohen. Dr. Cohen serves as the Vice President of Medical Affairs and is the Medical Director of Urology with Myriad Genetics. So, Dr. Cohen, thanks for being here with us.
Well, Shelby, thanks so much for having me, and hello to everybody that's listening.
Thanks for being here. So we're really excited to partner with Myriad this month in August. We know that early detection is so important in prostate cancer, as it is in many cancers, but it really truly offers patients the best chance at living cancer-free and for having fewer treatments that person has to go through. But what we're also learning about more and more now is that completing genetic testing in prostate cancer, especially, that patients can have even more information in their tool belts, and better understanding their genetics is extremely important. And when patients go through genetic testing, it really can help them feel more like they're in control. And as we know, after a cancer diagnosis, most patients just feel absolutely lost, like they are no longer in the driver's seat. So Dr. Cohen, tell us a little bit more about the genetic testing survey that was recently conducted by Myriad.
Yeah, well, Shelby, last year we sent out a survey to really kind of gauge people's interest and knowledge about genetic testing with respects to prostate cancer. It's a fairly new area, and it's really expanding. And like you said, a lot of information can be learned from doing genetic testing. In particular, we found out some pretty important answers as to how patients would perceive being tested. And nearly 90% of the men that were polled would say they would be in favor of doing a genetic test if the testing were available to them, and of course, if the cost wasn't prohibitive. About 88% of men said they would do genetic testing if it offered possible treatment options or different treatment options or changing treatment options. Again, if this was available to them. So I think a lot of it is the increasing availability of genetic testing. And the other thing that's important is knowing the genetics behind your cancer could potentially have implications to the family. Right. Because, since it is genetic and it's hereditary, passed down from generation to generation, a lot of the knowledge you can learn from being tested is important to the family for possibility of family members, especially their children, developing certain types of cancers. So this was information that we learned, and nearly 90% of men that were polled would want all of this information.
Yeah, I mean, those stats are unbelievable, and we're finding that too in our patient evaluations and feedback after educational events, that people are really hungry for information on genetic testing and how it can help them, how it can empower them to make the best treatment decisions for themselves and then speak with their family. So really interesting and exciting data that was discovered in that survey. So thanks for walking through some of those. We know that there are a lot of barriers to genetic testing. I think one huge one that we talk a lot about is the trust issue. And well, what's going to happen to my information? I'm just going to take this test and send it out into the world, and then what the heck's going to happen? So I would love if you could talk about not only that barrier, but just some other barriers that your team might be aware of and might be hearing about.
Yeah, there are a lot of barriers. And I think when you start talking about these kind of things and offering genetic information, I think you hit it right on, that the trust is, what are we going to do with this and how is it going to affect things in the future? For me, is it, if I know that I have a genetic mutation, am I going to be able to get insurance, let's say? And I think that's a big fear people have. And there's been a lot of setup by the government and in multiple different places so that none of this information can be used to stop a person from getting any type of health insurance in the future. The other part of trust is, like you said, where's the information going to go? Who's going to see it? Is this going to be out in the open? Are people going to know what I'm doing? And all of a sudden, am I going to get, when I go search for a new car, am I going to get pop-ups saying your genetics tell you this or anything like that? And the answer is no. This is protected information. And when testing is done, especially with our company at Myriad, that is held very close, and it's not sold to a third party or to the government or insurance companies or anything else like that. So I think there's a lot of relief when people hear that and they know that. Other barriers, of course, the big one is cost. What is this going to cost? And or if is my insurance going to cover it? And in the vast majority of cases, insurance will cover it, and nearly completely. It's rare that anybody has to put out any significant amount of money in order to get the testing done. And in most cases, we work with families that if there is a financial issue, to try to get that down to something they can afford and never run a test without, with a surprise bill at the end. The other problems are coming more in, the process is my doctor offering this, or where can I get it? And that's always an issue, because in urology in particular with prostate cancer, it's fairly new, and it's still in that process to people understanding what to do with the information. We know that there's a lot that can be done with it, but are all doctors offering it? The answer is no, they're not at this point. It's growing, but it's still not anywhere near we'd like to see it to be able to benefit the patients. And then the question also arises, well, if my family doesn't have a history of any cancers, do I need to get tested? Is there a reason to get tested? And the answer is yes in most cases, because you so eloquently said earlier, it can change what you do. When you're first diagnosed with prostate cancer, can it change or can it alter my potential treatment? And the answer is yes. So it's nice to have all that information. We know that women that get diagnosed with breast cancer, they get this information, and it can definitely alter the treatments that they do, and the knowledge of what can be done or even what's going to happen in the future. And that same is true for prostate cancer. So I think even without a significant family history, the genetics are very important in terms of what you're going to be doing, with your treatments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think another barrier that we hear is it's too hard. So talk to us about, how is it challenging?
Generally not. It's actually very easy to do. The key is to have a partner in the health. You have to have a health professional order a test, and the testing can be done very easily. It can be done with blood testing, or it can also be done with saliva. So it's easy. It can be done at the home. It doesn't necessarily have to entail a trip to the doctor. These things can be done remotely from your house. And in a lot of cases, if the saliva doesn't offer the answer because there isn't enough tissue or enough DNA in the sample, you can also do remote blood testing where they come to your house. So it can all be done very easily, from the home, which really opens it up to a wide variety of people who may not have access to get to the doctor in an easy manner.
Yeah, and we know that transportation barriers exist across the board. So that's such a wonderful feature of the kind of the telemedicine world that we're learning more about, and that is expanding. Thank you. Thanks for sharing those. I know any other barriers that we missed, I'm sure there are several others that exist, but those are, I think, the key ones that we hear the most about.
That's typically what we hear. And sometimes on the doctor side, we hear, well, what do we do with the information? And, we offer genetic counseling to patients that even if the doctor's not, completely aware of, how should I interpret this information? Because sometimes it does get complicated. So it's important to have access to genetic counseling to answer some of those questions that we can offer, and it's available out there, even if you get a complex or a difficult to interpret result on your testing.
Right. Yeah. And I think the genetic counselor's role is so important, like you said, and they don't approach those results and understanding those results in this kind of blanket fashion. It's all very tailored, and those conversations are tailored, and they're not answering every person's question in the same way. They're really getting a good handle on the patient and their family and the needs and the pros and the cons of every situation. So absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that role.
Right. I think what we're looking towards here, and people keep talking about precision medicine. or personalized medicine. And that's what we're doing. This is you. This isn't a group. A lot of times when we talk about treatments, we don't do it as addressing the individual. We do it, well, if you were 1,000 people, this is how we would go about treating you, and this is the outcomes we would generally see. But now with precision medicine, with genetics and genomics, we can really help tailor specifically to an individual's treatment, not assuming that this individual is going to respond like a group of individuals would. So I think it's really getting down to that personalization and the precision medicine that we've been looking for quite some time.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I remember an oncologist in a different cancer space said to me, it's so important to see a specialist in your cancer, one, but part of that is because treating patients is half science and half art. You have to kind of be good at both so that you can make changes on the fly and really personalize the treatment options for every person.
Right. We'd love it if everybody responded to every treatment the way they should. That's the key word, should, and not everybody does. So
Right.
we want to take the best we can tailor it to a person's individual cancer, because every cancer is a little different. They don't all work the same. I've learned that in 30 years of practice, and you just wonder sometimes, how did that happen? It shouldn't have. And you never want to say that. You never want to feel that. You never want to say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Dr. Cohen. I just wanted to share with our listeners this August, we're thrilled again to be partnering with Myriad Genetics. We're launching a 30 genetic answers in 30 days campaign. So again, we're so excited. Genetics is so interesting. It's so new. It's exciting. Patients are really excited to hear more about it. So Dr. Cohen, I'd love to know, is there anything in particular about this exciting campaign that you want to share with us?
Yeah, we're really trying to get the word out there, and to make people aware that testing is available. It's not just for breast cancer. It's really as important in prostate cancer as it is in breast and several other different kinds of cancers. So we're starting a campaign to make it known that it's out there, and we're trying to get at minimum 30 men tested that are prostate cancer to get tested for their genetics, who may not otherwise get tested. And so we're offering this this program, we'll call it, to really encourage men who may not otherwise go out and get tested. After seeing this and learning about it, with the help of Zero and Myriad, to partner and get men out there and spread the word. So we're offering this, and to be able to do it on an easy process, to make it accessible, just the things we were talking about that could have been barriers in the past. I want to show that it is easy and we can do it. So we're shooting for 30, but we're hoping for 3,000.
Yeah, absolutely. We love those big goals here at Zero. So we're thrilled that you're our partner in this. I think you make a great point of the awareness too. It's just so important. I think, Zero recently conducted a focus group with some patients and a caregiver, and some of the patients had never heard of the genetic link to prostate cancer, and they felt really embarrassed. And we thought, oh my gosh, one, we need to do a better job of increasing awareness and sharing resources and making people more aware, but absolutely no reason to feel embarrassed for not knowing this. How would you know? Some of us never know even that where a prostate is or what it does, and now you have a diagnosis and you're navigating 100 things. So I think that awareness piece is so important.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with that and it grows from there. And I think, again, I'll make the comparison, because we do this a lot with breast cancer, is that it's kind of you get breast cancer, you get tested, and when you show up with the results, you have a whole, to not use a pun, but a myriad of different results, not just, your x-rays and your pathology report from your biopsy, but you've got all this other information that really helps. But when you look at prostate cancer, when guys go in, for the most part, to talk to their physicians about how you're going to do the treatment, you're relying on technology that is some of it is 40, 50 years old, and there's new stuff out there. We need to embrace this and use it to the benefit to really help people get the best treatment that they can to avoid, the implications of, or the morbidities of overtreating. And also, you have to worry about, we undertreat, are we overtreating or are we undertreating? I mean, these are questions that we don't want to do either. We want to treat appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Dr. Cohen, where do we go to get tested? How do we do it?
Okay, to make it as easy as possible, the way you can do it is you can get a genetic test kit sent directly to your home. And by doing this, you can look it up on the website, which is www.prolaris.com/remote testing. And this brings you to the website where you can answer a few questions and get information about the testing, as well as order a test kit, which will be sent to your home. And all of this can be done from the home. We talked about with getting saliva, and then can be done with the help of your physician, so that the test results can go to the physician, so you can get your results and go over them and get the answers that you need. And we hope that in most cases they're negative, but there's a lot of very powerful information in getting a negative test result. It also helps alleviate the fears the family may have if there's something there. So we just encourage people to go to the website and order a kit, and all the information about where to go and what to do from that point is on the website. So hope that people will access that.
There. Absolutely. So www.prolaris.com/remote testing is where we can go. Great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cohen. Thanks for joining me today and sharing all of this great information, having a chat about the awesome survey results that were conducted. We're really excited about these advancements in prostate cancer treatment and research. So thanks for being here.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and good luck to everybody out there, and hope that everything goes well for all of you. And it's a pleasure working with you, Shelby, and with Zero. You guys do fantastic work.
Thanks. Same to you and the whole Myriad team. We're thrilled to partner. But this isn't all. There's more to come. Later this month, we're going to be getting back together for another Facebook Live. We'll be joined by Rob Finch, and Rob serves as the Certified Genetic Counselor and Medical Science Liaison for the Urology Division with Myriad Genetics. So we're going to be joined by a team member of Dr. Cohen's. Rob's going to be joining us to share more about the impact of genetic testing on the treatment decision. So kind of what Dr. Cohen and I have talked about today, and making those personalized conversations really helpful to the patient and their family. And he'll also be able to take some Q&A. So I hope you can save the date and join us on August 24th, and be sure to bring your questions. So we will see everyone next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.